Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and recently the game of Kabaddi was brought to my attention. It's a very popular sport in India, and what it is it's, from my interpretation and from watching a video or two about it, it's like a combination of tag and Red Rover with a little bit of touch football in the middle. So the way the game is played, and I'm going to explain how this gets back to D&D. The way the game is played is you have 7 people on either side of basically a tennis court without a net. Small area, line in the middle, 2 sets of territories. And one person from one of the 7-person teams, one person will run over as the raider, try to run through the area of the defender, touch as many people as they can reasonably, and then run back out, or crawl or climb or jump back out without being physically restrained and tackled. And however many people they've touched and then they get back out, well, those people are all out. So you're eliminating people kind of dodgeball style. But if the 7 defenders can grab, tackle, and restrain the raider, he's out. And it's repeated until a winner is determined. Well, where this comes back to D&D is you have groups, cultures in your game of small rural villages, or maybe people like the Goliaths who are very sport oriented. And this could be a sport you could throw in there. Now, where you have a game where it's just running, grabbing, touching, tackling, and no equipment is required, you have no economic barrier to entry. So it could be just kids on the playground deciding to play this thing, or it could be even the poorest of villages. It could be an impromptu game between 2 rival groups of adventurers that just happen to wander across each other. It doesn't have to be even 7 people, but let's say it is 7 people. How would you adjudicate the mechanics of a game like this? Now, you have tackling and grabbing, you have running, and you have unarmed strikes that don't do any damage because it's just tag. Because tag is an unarmed strike with no damage, because nobody gets hurt in tag, generally speaking, unless you did something really, really wrong. An easy way to adjudicate this would be simply 7 sets of opposed athletics checks, with your choice of whether you want to use the athletics or the acrobatic skills. And I would add a +1 for every point, for every 5 feet of movement difference between the 2 people that are considered faced off for this. The game is 7-on-1 or 3-on-1 or etc. throughout the rounds of play, but this is just a quick way to do it. So you have your 7 opposed checks. Give the die rollers advantage on the die roll if they can tell you, the DM, some form of class feature or something about their character that would make them exceptionally good at this. Something like action surge, or some feature for which they can burn a key point for, or perhaps cunning action or something like that. If they can convince you of it, let it fly. Just throw advantage on that 1 roll. If it's an expendable item, it just counts for 1 roll. Luck could be another thing if they have the lucky feat. So you could just do your 7 rolls and let it go at that. Best 4 out of 7 wins. That'd be a sort of a quick way to adjudicate a game like this. A more complicated way to do it, you're going to have to pull out a bunch of different rules. You would have everybody calculate their unarmored armor class, which would be 10 plus dex bonus in most cases. have the raider run in and try to get unarmed combat strikes that don't calculate any damage. It's just a roll to hit. Tap, 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 tap. There's no intention of harming anyone. Perhaps double their normal attacks per round, because you want to make the raider character who runs into the opposing side of the field a little more potent. And then you have to decide what to do with the defenders. They should be able to get to use the dodge action, or do they want to use a readied action to attempt an unarmed grapple attack? And you may want to recalculate or rewrite how the grappling rules work for how they can restrain and stop the raider. Now, there is also a feature in this game where you're supposed to, my understanding is, as the raider, you can run into the opposing camp or territory, but you can only be there as long as you can maintain a chant. You yell "Kabaddi, Kabaddi, 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 Kabaddi" as you're running around in and out. How long could you maintain a chant while running around? You could use the holding breath rules, and then I would say divide it by 3 for the number of rounds you can hold your breath, because it's one thing to hold your breath when you're just sitting calmly, and it's another thing to try to hold your breath while running at full speed. So cut it in thirds. And for every successful grapple attack where somebody can grab you, they're physically able to grab you in a grappling attack, I would use a concentration check, similar to, basically exact same way that spellcasters need concentration checks whenever they are struck with a weapon in combat. So you're more likely to get the wind knocked out of you when somebody just grabs you. It's a little bit more complicated, and you got to ask yourself, okay, if somebody grapples somebody and it's not strength-based, can just any one person successfully rolling, can they stop you and get you tackled? Maybe so, or maybe you want to have those situations where one really big dude can be held by 3 smaller guys and he can still crawl his way out. Just low crawling, through and just powering through, dragging people across the line with him. In that case, you're going to want to probably rewrite all the grappling rules. So this second way of doing it, where you go into all the details, I wouldn't necessarily want to use it unless you want to make the game a pivotal part of the larger campaign. If you're just going to do a one-off, one-shot, oh, hey, you happen to run into each other and somebody challenges, your group to a friendly game, and you want it to just be a short part of your session, then you use the short rules, just a handful of opposed checks. That's just my thing, and I'm going to try to remember to include some links in the description on this video so that you can check out the video that inspired this one, and some of the rules and history of Kabaddi. It's kind of a cool game, and I think it's applicable to a lot of games in, it could be anywhere in the world. Easily done. Maybe kind of fun. DM Kurt, out. See you in the comments.